Hi, Marybeth. Thank you.
So I'm Marybeth Hanley. I'm a professional botanist, and I study plants. I work in conservation, and when I was in graduate school, I used to teach labs on marine botany, and so I got really excited about seaweeds. And so this design originated from is an actual herbarium specimen. So when you preserve plants, you know, for study, there's a special way of doing it, which if I had been able to do a PowerPoint for you tonight, I'd give you a little more detail on that. But if anyone is curious, I can walk you through it. But seaweeds are a little bit different than, you know, regular vascular plants because of the texture and the way that they need to be pressed. But this is this seaweed is called the genus is Codium, which the common species that you'd find on the beach here in the Northeast is also commonly called dead man's fingers. Now, this actual specimen came from another country. It's not actually the common one that, but you probably recognize it if you think about being on the beach and kind of seeing like sort of thick, like finger-like seaweeds. And so I wanted to print this. Adrian printed this on silk organza, and I made a pattern from the specimen, and then I sort of, you can kind of see, I think in there that there's like a shadow of the motif, and I recolored it. I did a whole bunch of things to it in Photoshop. And what I wanted to do was see what it would look like with different colors underneath. And I didn't have time for this show to make other slip dresses to go underneath that. But so that's just like a plain white slip dress, which works nicely, but it could have a different effect, you know, if you had other colors, it maybe, you know, with other fabrics as well. That was like a cotton gauze, but I wanted to try linen and kind of a lightweight cotton too. So I still have a lot of things I want to do with this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Harry.
So I've been on the road all day, and the cat threw up twice in the car, and so I'm a little disheveled. So, but
we're putting you on the spot. Are you ready to do a presentation right now?
Nice meeting you. The cat's calling me.
Having the reflection, it almost makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional, because when you press a plant, it really looks more two-dimensional because it's flat.
I think that your rendering of this seaweed and then your description of what kind of seaweed it is definitely connects me to the beach. I do recognize this, you know, based on the form that you've created in this design. I definitely recognize that species of seaweed in this design, and I also appreciate the layering that you've done. It's very subtle, and I look forward to what you're talking about as far as how this overshell layer will interact with a different color slip dress underneath, and the versatility that you can explore with that. The use of this material has been, you know, great. I like how it's nice and open and airy and very lightweight. It looks like a dream to wear. I'm gonna make those comments. I don't have that many questions for you, Marybeth, but I do want to open it up to questions from other people. Does anybody have any questions for Marybeth?
I do.
I do.
Go ahead.
My question is that it's just beautiful, and I love layering. Yeah, just fantastic. So, did you design the pattern as well, and then sew it yourself?
Yes.
With deciding where all the tendrils went on the body.
Yeah, so it was originally just, one motif, like one, and unfortunately I don't have the image to pull up right now. And then but I completely reworked it. I recolored it. I mean, the shape is the same. But I made I made the pattern and the reflection, the muted part of it that you see like in the background. And then I did sew it. I'm a beginner, I'm not. So I wanted to make something that was interesting, that wasn't going to be super complicated. So I came up with the idea of making like a sort of a beach maxi dress. But I definitely am not an expert sewer. So I think you could do a lot of really interesting things with this design if you knew, how to sew a lot more than I do. Also, it looks really interesting at different scales too. Like you can make it smaller and arrange it differently on the pattern and make it look completely different.
No, it's nice. It looks good. I like it.
Thank you.
Wanda, did you have a question?
Yeah, and some of it was answered, sort of your combination of, coming in from being a sewer new, but you're there. And had you done this kind of pattern development before, or is that also new? Or how did you become interested in that? What is your background with drawing and pattern and so forth?
Yeah, so what so I'm a botanist, I'm a scientist, that's what I do for work. But I took a bunch of surface design classes with Adrian at RISD, and then I did a natural science illustration certificate at RISD. And so what I do is I take, sometimes it could be a specimen, like in this case, or it could be a photograph like Harry was talking about, or it could be just one aspect of a plant that I might get excited about, and I might render, in a completely different way. So usually most of my designs are based on some kind of aspect of botany and nature. And so it was really good training to do the natural science illustration. I don't really want to do representational drawing, for a living, but it was very good training in learning how to accurately render plants, and so I take a bunch of my work like that, and then I transform it into surface designs, which look completely different from the original drawings. Like I have some, graphite drawings of grasses, and I could show you like a pattern that I developed from that. So the actual grass specimen that I would show you is almost like a scientific illustration that you would see like in a book, but the design is like completely, aesthetic, and you wouldn't know, I mean, you wouldn't probably know that it was based on, that particular grass species unless I told you.
Well, I very much appreciate learning what species might be in your designs. I love the educational aspect of what you're doing as you're thinking creatively and coming up with these new potential uses of these references. And I look forward to seeing new versions. I love Susie's question about sort of the planning and placement of these elements. And I know in this case, just getting started with sewing and preparing the fabric design, is enough to manage, and then in your next iterations you'll be exploring different scales of your motifs and different placements, as well as the undercolor, the transparency and the show through of different underlayer colors. So I'm just very excited. Thank you so much for making it tonight to join us. And